Lucid Motors is taking a very different approach to EVs than a lot of other manufacturers. They're going for this ultra premium, very expensive segment in the EV industry. And today we have a Lucid Air touring spec in the shop, and we're going to be doing a full build quality assessment with this particular vehicle. So I want to see, for big money, what kind of fit and finish and build quality are you actually getting? We're going to be looking outside, jumping inside, looking at the material, seeing how everything feels, and importantly, as a detailer, looking at the paint. Is this paint really consistent? Is it thick? Is it super thin in areas? We'll find all of that out today on another out of spec detailing video. Let's jump into it. So before we jump into the build quality assessment, let's quickly talk about the trim level, where this sits as far as Lucid Air trim. So Lucid has 5 different trim levels for the Lucid Air, starting at the Pure. This is a Touring. They have a Grand Touring Performance, and a Sapphire. Those prices, as per their website, range from $87,000 starting all the way up to $250,000 for the Sapphire Edition. This one, nowhere near that. So this is a Touring. And according to the website right now, this particular car starts at $107,000. Now, per the window sticker, it shows a starting price of $95,000. And this is a fully spec Touring. So let's talk about the options. It has a $1,000 paint option on here. I really like this paint color. It has a $10,000 option for Dream Drive, which is essentially their lane keeping assist. $10,000 for lane keep, insane. We also have a $4,000 stereo inside and a $4,500 option for the full glass roof. So at $113,000, what is this build quality like? Now, we have already filmed with a Lucid Air Grand Touring over on the Out of Spec reviews page. I'll leave a link in the description below. To be honest, this was a few months ago, and I was not impressed with the build quality at all. I thought for $154,000 what that car was spec'd, it really fell apart as far as build quality, and most importantly that I was concerned about as a detailer, the thing had no paint on it. So we stuck paint meters on there. It was coming in for a detail, and I had to call the customer and say, listen, your brand new Lucid has no paint on it. I physically cannot polish it. So that was really scary, and honestly not a great first impression I've had with Lucid. Now on this Touring, I have to say this is built quite a bit after that original car. I'm decently impressed. So let's jump into it, and I'm really curious to see, does this thing actually have paint on it for me to polish on? First off, let's start talking exterior fit and finish. And want to make a quick note on this vehicle. This thing is brand new, so it was literally delivered to our Denver studio. This car actually will live in Utah, so the customer had it delivered in Denver just so I could detail it, and then he's road tripping it back. Huge shout out to the owner of this Lucid Air Touring. Most importantly, we asked the Denver studio, please do not wash this. So it is a factory fresh Lucid. It was quite dirty when he picked it up, which is what we asked for. I do that to ensure that we don't have any additional scratches. Don't like to take as much paint off, especially since I've had kind of bad luck with Lucid per that one Grand Touring. Now let's just immediately start over here on the charge port. I think it's always probably the best place to start on an EV. Already noticing this charge port is definitely sticking out a little bit more than this fender below. Really interesting how you open this thing. No distinct button, but I found that bottom corner is the best place to do it. Now, really smooth actuation all the way down. Couple things that I don't like here though. When you are level 2 charging your Lucid, you don't have a cover over your DC pins. And I think that could be an issue if you live in a rainy, wet climate. You're gonna be getting water into that DC port. This always concerns me with these charge ports, is having these things actuated. Do they look nice? Yes. What happens when you pull up to a charging spot and this thing decides, oh, I don't wanna open today? Now you can't charge your car, you're stranded, kind of a mess. So really, what's wrong with a regular kind of gas door? I don't know, that's just my opinion. Now to close this, really weird. You just kind of pull up on it, but really smooth actuation all the way up. Now let's start talking body panels here. So huge clamshell hood on this thing, goes all the way around the vehicle in a single piece. So I would be concerned about panel alignment. Here, this is actually feeling quite good. Noticing here though, the trim really does not fit all that well. The trim in the front definitely sticks lower than the trim up top. And also notice in that rubber seal there, how it's kind of like white. That means Lucid has been compounding or polishing on this vehicle, which as a detailer concerns me. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So you can see here, look at this rubber seal, and then it dives down in this area. Doesn't seem like it's fitting all that well. And as I move down here, follow that rubber seal. It really doesn't even fit the door. It's twisted down here. Doesn't seem super nice. And as I'm noticing here, really tight up here, and then tapers all the way down to the bottom piece here. Now this fender is definitely sticking out farther than the door here, and this is pushed in more than the chrome, so seems like a little panel alignment issues going on there. Speaking of panel alignment, check out the hood up here. That looks pretty good, but the charge port seems like it sits rather low here and quite a bit different here. You're gonna also see this thing unlock and close every 5 seconds as I move in and out of the vehicle. Now, here on the front bumper, already noticing quite a bit of color difference between the front bumper and the hood. Nothing out of the ordinary, but let's check this panel alignment. So as I'm seeing here, that bumper is definitely pushed in compared to the hood. Also really, really tight on that corner, quite a bit wider over here. And as you'll notice here, look at the alignment on this silver trim piece on the hood. Gets really tight up here and thicker all the way around, really thick down here. My concern is that this hood over time as it settles is gonna move around quite a bit. And speaking of moving around, let's talk about this vent. On the Grand Touring we had in here, this thing felt like it was gonna fly off, smack into the windshield. This one feels like it's put in quite well. Now alignment over here, not too bad, a little bit tight up here, but I don't think it's horrible. Moving down here, these headlights, really interesting design. Obviously you have an air vent here. There's a little slit under here that runs air over the headlights. Now, a thing that I've noticed with the Lucids, the headlights run extremely hot. Not like scalding hot, but you stand in front of it when the headlights immediately pop on, and you can definitely feel the warmth, which is weird for LEDs. Now, Kyle has mentioned on the Rivian R1T and R1S that on his T, in the middle of a snowstorm, they will glass over with ice, with snow, and it makes it really, really hard to see at night when it's snowing. But just interesting to note there. Front bumper is looking pretty good other than this alignment here. This air curtain that channels air around the wheel looks really nice and tight, feels pretty premium. All of the air vents down here. You've obviously got some sort of radar going on here. This all feels really nice on this particular Lucid so far. Let's move around to this side. Definitely seeing this chrome piece is sticking out quite a bit compared to the bumper. And let's check the alignment on the hood and bumper over here. So really tight back here and quite thick over here. I apologize, but this car is going to keep unlocking and locking. Every time I get within an inch, back an inch, you can see that. It's just insane. Again, over here, noticing how tight this is, I really worry as this hood settles that this is gonna become more of an issue. Could start taking paint off if these start contacting each other. Definitely looking like, to me, you can see this slit here. This bumper is sticking out quite a bit more than the hood. Don't think that's as designed. Let's check this. Yep, feels great. Let me just come over here. Okay, so this one fits quite a bit better here, this bumper alignment. So good to see that there. Now, moving over here, again, this hood is just massive, and I think panel alignment issues are going to be consistent until they get it dialed in. So you'll notice back here, quite a bit tighter, and then it gets really thick down here. This quarter panel also sticks out quite a bit compared to the hood, and just feeling this edge doesn't really line up the greatest. Now down here, we're having similar stuff where this leading edge though is actually sticking out, pushed back in, but the alignment on the door here looks pretty good. Now up here on this trim, You can see very similar how it doesn't perfectly line up. More compounding marks, that concerns me. That rubber seal is also pushed in that area, but I'm happy to say when I follow this all the way down, it seems like it's in the right panel alignment. Now moving along here, all this down here, guys, I'm really happy to say this looks good. So we've actually got a kind of textured black plastic. I actually don't mind that instead of having it painted. I think it's a nice contrast. So you've got this kind of silvery, almost pewter color, gloss black, another kind of aluminum accent, and then a satin black. I think it looks really nice. It's very elegant, but very distinguishable panel to panel. Now here, I'm always curious to see how manufacturers do window trim. I don't know why the heck we have so much problems with getting these aligned. Happy to say this one looks decent. Ooh, wait a second, but I'm also noticing, ooh, we've got basically paint missing here. That to me looks like it's been polished on maybe. Again, this car hasn't been touched other than me washing it since factory, so I wonder, I'll have to check that out, but definitely paint missing there. Now, as far as alignment up here, this looks really pretty good. A little bit of warping in that rubber gasket. Hopefully you can see that as I move along. Other than that, looks really decent all the way down. Alignment here, yeah, looks bang on. How about the mirrors here? So crazy mirrors. So we've got a camera lens here. We've also got a camera up here. This all feels really nice, really premium. Again, don't love the alignment here, but that's being super, super nitpicky. This is really concerning of why that's just missing paint there. Another camera here, all alignment looks really good on the glass. Speaking of glass, for you guys getting your Lucid Airs, if you want to get them tinted, find a good tinter. Let me show you why. So this back piece, so much seals around here. That's of course because inside this car is whisper quiet, rolling down the road, 80, 90 miles an hour, just insane. But look at how they've done this gasket here. You literally have 3 inches, and if you're getting this thing tinted, they've got to get tint all the way to this edge. Typically what I've seen a lot of guys do, you have to take this whole window surround apart, whole door panel apart, and really get the film in there. Also, you can imagine tinting this rear window. Can't be great. Alignment here, really like the door handles on this car. They pop out and just very little effort to do so. Let's see how the door thud is here. So we've got soft closed doors. That actually feels really, really nice. Let's try the back one here. Again, pops out really nice. Bam. I don't love how it kind of judders there. Almost sounds like a rattle. That's being super nitpicky, but I do like that these are soft close. I've definitely felt more premium soft close though. Now here, this is an area I really didn't like on the Grand Touring we had. And hopefully you can see this. This has this kind of felt edge. Whoa, that's definitely not in. Okay, well, nonetheless. So we've got this felt edge here, but you'll notice up here, it's really tight, whereas back here. Now the problem with this stuff holds lint, it holds like just all these particles, and you're gonna see this like strip as you drive this car. It'll hold pollen as well. Really don't love that. Wish they would make it a little bit tighter, maybe not use that felt. I think that's one of those things though, because this car is so blissfully silent rolling down the road, they had to compromise in areas there. Now door to rear quarter panel here, this looks really good. A little bit thick, but not horrible. Great alignment here. Really nice job, Lucid. Now the worst part of this vehicle. Can you guys see this? Holy panel alignment. So let's jump into it. Yeah, up here, so this fender sits up quite a bit more. The trunk fits in, yeah, really kind of deep, if you will. So really, really not flush. This also doesn't line up great. This trim on this side feels pretty good. Touring logo, yeah, that looks great. But holy Batman, this is a lot of panel gap here. And I think on the Lucid, this is where I'm gonna give you my opinion here. Please disagree with me, that's totally fine. Just don't think the back end looks as striking as it should. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's this huge gap around here. Maybe if the panel was, I don't know, different, I would feel a lot better about this car. I just really don't like the back end here. Now what's really cool about this trunk though, is you have this really nice molded integrated spoiler, but this is all plastic in this area, or molded plastic if you will. Now, an area I've always seen an issue on these, and this one has it as well, look at the alignment of the gasket here. So if it's nice and flush against the glass, rolls itself under, and then comes back out. If you're buying a Sapphire at 250 grand, and this thing looks like that, you gonna be happy? Are you gonna be happy with that? I don't know. Lucid, you gotta get these little things dialed in to be a very premium EV. Now here, quarter panel to bumper, this looks really, really nice. All this trim down here actually looks really good as far as fitment. Really happy to see that. This side looks good as well. Now let's see the trunk alignment here. And in all honesty, this side looks better, not great. So again, we have the same thing where the deck lid sits a little bit lower. Now let's look at the alignment here. Okay, that trim is like not even in. I can basically feel like I can just rip that out. Not super great there. Noticing a little bit of alignment there. That's being super nitpicky, but still, when you're paying this much money, you gotta be nitpicky. Just wanna show that rubber gasket in there again. It's so warped, it really doesn't look that nice. Now, down here, bumper to trunk alignment, look how even that is. So really good to see that there. Just seems like they need to work on this side. Let me open this trunk for you guys, because this is a crazy trunk. Really interesting how they've done this. You have space on space on space in here. Now it is kind of weird how low this sits here. Really hard to get back into there, but check this out underneath. Just gobs of storage space. Really, really cool. You've got other areas here and here. I do want to show you how this closes though. Also, just want to note, really nice carpeting here. Watch how this trunk lid shuts. See how it like pops down and then goes back up? Hope that came through on camera, but really, really strange. Anyways, let's keep moving on around the side. So I've been walking around the car here and have definitely found a few more things I missed originally walking around it. First off being this rear door handle. Look at the alignment here. So if I pop in here, you can see that rubber seal is definitely popped down, whereas up here, really, really tight. And then it's getting really tight down here. So looks to me like this door handle really needs to turn a little bit. Another area I saw was here on the actual mirror. What I want you to look at here is the texturing. So we've got nice, pretty smooth plastic and then really heavy orange peel over here on the mirror. One area that really concerns me is this down here. I'm gonna show you both sides. So this black plastic trim piece, it looks like I had mentioned before that there were no clips on this. That's because it's 3M stuck on. But in that case, this piece up here, I can actually feel the 3M tape in here, not even sort of put on there. So this is just rattling around on this one. Now, as I switch back over here, this is better, but still not great. So can definitely peel this off. I worry that, you know, wiping this car down, you may pop this out and actually snap this piece. Let me jump over to the other side here and show you how this side looks. This one is actually even worse over here. Also, let's check this mirror here while we're at it. So this one looks quite consistent here, where the other side you could see that texture really, really bad there. But let's pop down here and see how this one is looking. Oh wow, that's even worse. So yeah, I can actually, in the back of here, feel 3M stick tape goes all the way to here, and it's sort of not even adhered at all. So really not great there. Let's just quickly check this back one. And it looks like, okay, so this one's actually on. So this one's the only one that looks pretty good. Now just quickly check the door handles over here. These look great on this side. Now down the side here, we've got great alignment here. Really, they are working in areas, but again, I think their trunk lid, they really have to do some serious work on. Also noticing the trim here, this one, the same one that doesn't feel like it's in, definitely not aligned right. Not even close to being aligned right. Let's move up here, checking out all these gaskets. This one fits a heck of a lot better than the other side, so great to see that. Really pretty precise alignment here. This rubber sticks down ever so slightly, but not bad. Again, following this looks really good. And then you get to here. Look at this little rubber gasket. I'm betting you this over time is gonna create some wind noise inside the cabin. Let's look over here. Great, we've got paint on this one. Happy to see that, really good alignment. This thing definitely does not look like it's fitting properly. Looks like it's kind of warped up a little bit. Wonder if we can work on that at all, or if it's kind of just pushed like that. See, this piece doesn't even feel like it's supposed to roll like that. Let's see how it goes now. No, about the same. You can just see how it goes flat and then rolls up. The other side definitely was not like that. Again, trim down here. This all looks really good. Look at this alignment here. Man, that is nice and tight. Really good job. More compound inside. Don't love to see that, but yeah. Let's lastly on the exterior check out the roof. So $4,500 option on this roof. And as I can see there, the front piece is definitely sticking up compared to the rear piece way over there. I'll probably flip over there. That's probably good for aero though. If it was the opposite way, definitely gonna create a whistle. This piece of glass, holy moly. If you have to replace that, good luck to you. That's gonna be super cheap, not. Let's move over here. Really interesting look in the light here, how it kind of warps as it comes to the that A-pillar that runs the whole piece of the car there. Really crazy piece of engineering here. Okay, so on this side, what I'm seeing is it's warped here. This piece is sticking up quite a bit, dives down, and then the front end sticks up quite a bit. Not horrible, not great. Now back here, this silver piece, this actually looks pretty good. Alignment is really dialed in, nice and tight back there. That looks extremely good. So roof, okay. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but okay. So I think now, yeah, my overall impressions from the exterior of the vehicle, better, a lot better, but not perfect. I think there's still some areas to work on. That's gonna be the case with new EV manufacturers, but I think it's now time to jump into the party piece, and that is inside. Now, out of all the EVs I've ever been in, Lucid interiors, absolutely bar none, take the cake. I am just astounded how a company can put together areas like this and you hop inside and this is the most like tight, tidy interior I have seen. This rivals Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, you name it. I mean, this is right up there with some of the best. It is ultra quiet inside. Love the design language. Software, yeah, not gonna even touch on that. But let's just jump over here. Look at this door panel and the materials used, just incredible. Now the Grand Tourings have Alcantara in this area as well as on the dash. Speaking of Grand Tourings, need to make a quick shout out to Out of Spec Dave for taking delivery of his new Lucid Air Grand Touring with the most wicked interior I've ever seen. Hopefully we'll have this on that channel. Hopefully we'll have that car on this channel eventually when it comes out here. But over here, nice soft touch leather here, precision here on this aluminum, just looks amazing. Again, I wish this was Alcantara, but again, that's saved for the higher trim vehicles, which I get. Still a nice material here. Look at how this wood grain is inset into the aluminum, like so freaking precise. It's incredible. We've also got leather all the way down here, and I love this textile material that they use on the glove box, there on the center console area. Just absolutely wicked. I love that in the Lucids you get two different colored seats. So in the front they're different than the rear. We'll jump into that and talk about it. But like, look at the floor mats here. How nice does that look? This is like rivaling Porsche type stuff. So you've got leather on the carpet. Carpet feels great. Great stitching on there. Now the seats in this one look insanely nice. Feels so premium there. All the piping looks great. Stitching looks really nice. My biggest nitpick, doesn't have massaging seats. My $50,000 ID4 has massaging seats. Come on, Lucid. Just kidding. But anyways, love the interior on this thing. So let me jump in the passenger side here and I'm gonna show you around. And sitting in here, man, what a view out the front. This thing just looks absolutely wicked. Spend the money on the glass. I mean, seriously, this looks so cool, especially outside. My biggest complaint with the interior of this car is how low this piece above here is. I smack my head on this every time. The seats sit ultra low in the car, but you can see how tiny this window is. Like the head footrest literally goes above where the window starts, and I hit my head on this thing every single time. Luckily, it's Alcantara and super, super nice. This is really interesting how they've done this. I think it does take away quite a bit from the whole glass. I wish they do something like Model X does, where these are housed over here, but still nice integration, nice Alcantara here. Really interesting how they've done this, how this has a battery in here so they didn't have to wire anything. These just stick on here. Really, really cool. That feels just insanely nice. Love the touchscreen in here. Now, software as far as aesthetics, I'm big on that. Kia stuff to me looks absolutely horrendous. Mercedes, actually, I really don't like their infotainment stuff. I love how this looks so premium. You can change the coloring. And then you have this cool little thing here where you can retract that. Now, it does sound not the greatest, but it's really cool to have this accent area in here. I think it's great to swipe that back down. Great. Fingerprint machine as always. Welcome to 2023 where everything has touchscreens. So I really do though like how this has the buttons in here. So we've got our volume control, our climate right here, everything you need. Boom, it's right there. And it all feels great. Again, look at the precision here. How is this not outside? These vents, I would say, feel a little cheap. This plastic in this area don't feel the greatest, but again, wood accents. We've got aluminum, this cloth textile material, just a great place to be. Where the interior, the other area falls apart for me is in here. I think this could use a little bit more premium plastics in here. I know premium plastics, weird word, but these don't feel the greatest, to be honest. Now, I like the functionality of it. It looks okay, but it doesn't feel the greatest. It doesn't match the rest of the interior. So I think that could be an area they could work on, but really, really like this. Look at how the seats come down, like all the different materials, perforated, really tight leather, nice aluminum, cloth. Like it's just absolutely wicked. Love how this floats here. It just looks so nice. Let me hop into the driver's seat and show you the steering wheel. And hopping here on the driver's seat, the driving position in this car is fantastic. Now, one thing I'd complain about is, again, still this. It's weird how big this car is and how short this feels. You feel like you're in a cockpit, which I don't think is a bad thing. I mean, the seat is comfortable, the steering wheel is comfortable. I like how low you sit, but again, this beast just feels really low. I mean, my eyes sit right about here, even with the seat all the way down. So, you know, the car is really short. You put it next to a Model 3 and they're the same height, but it's a massive car. So really, really interesting. Love the steering wheel here. This feels so freaking premium. I can't even tell you guys, like this steering wheel feels fantastic. Personally love the layout of this. I love these little scrolly buttons here. Think it's really, really nice. You have your next track over here. Nice haptic buttons in here. Looks like some lane keep and cruise control over here. My only complaint with the steering wheel is these. These feel pretty cheap. That's being super, super nitpicky. I did notice this aluminum piece here to put it into park. Feels not like it's almost gonna fall out, but it feels a little loose, if you will. Over here, just for myself, most people aren't going to have an issue, but of course I only have one hand and reaching this while driving is just very tricky for me to do. Same with our ID4 for lights are over here, but there's a lot more functionality in this area. So a little tricky for me to reach, but you guys don't deal with that. Now, another thing I'm noticing here, follow this thick black line that runs on the windshield and the Alcantara. Notice how it really tapers down there. The other side, not seeing that as much. Seems like that Alcantara piece is definitely not pushed in all the way. So yeah, a few little things that I would say. So maybe on the interior, my biggest complaint as far as fit and finish would be this little button doesn't feel great and that is not properly aligned. Well, let me pop into the back seat and show you what it's like back there. So it's a little hard to show on camera, but as I said before, the front seats are a different color from the rear seats. So from what I understand Lucid does is you have this color match the rear seats, your carpets match the rear seats, so it's really, really cool. So these are black in the front. And then back here, they're more of like a slate gray. You can kind of see it a little bit here and here where it contrasts. But the back of this car, such a nice place to sit. Just love the back of the seats. Again, with all the different materials they use, center console feels nice. It is crazy how low you sit in this car, just insane. Again, on the door panel here, notice the difference. So this is the color of the rear seats that's integrated up here. We still have black. We've got nice integrated shades. Again, guys, I am just, the interior of the Lucid, completely blown away with. It's just, everything feels so good. We've got rear vents back here. They look nice, they feel nice. I just wish they could translate that to the exterior of the vehicle. I think we need to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are going to fix that. Yeah, I really, really like the interior of this car. So I think lastly, my impression on the interior of the car, just miles better than the competition. A wicked looking place to be, comfortable place to be. You just feel like you could road trip this thing forever. Really nice door close there. That one actually didn't kind of flutter like the other one did. So I think lastly, guys, you detailing nerds that have stuck around, it's now your time. So I want to take paint readings on this, and then I'm going to get the lights turned off, scan grips pulled out, see if there's any deep scratches, see if there's any sanding marks on this Lucid, because again, factory fresh. So let's jump into it. And like I said, guys, the last Lucid Air Grand Touring I had in here had no paint on it. Like in areas it was thick-ish, but in certain areas, not enough to polish. So this is a paint meter we're going to be using. And yes, this is not the most expensive paint meter in the world. It's not going to take it to the tens of thousandth of whatever accuracy. It's going to get us in the ballpark, within a couple of % of where it should be. I'm just trying to get an idea of how much paint is on here. So this paint meter, just for reference, what this does, it's already been calibrated. It is measuring from the metal to the top of the clear coat. So in there you have primer, you have probably multiple layers of color coat, more metallic, and then clear coat. So what I see typically on new cars, 4 to 6 mils. What does that look like in reference? The thickness of a sheet of printer paper is right around 4 mils. So take that into consideration. The Lucid Air Grand Touring that I had in here, up here, had almost 2 mils, like really, really thin, to the point of half the thickness of a sheet of paper. So I had to say, no go. So what I'm looking for here, consistency. I want to see how thick it is and make sure we have enough paint to polish on. So let's start up here. Great start. 586, that's on that higher end. Again, 4 to 6 mils is where I like to see. 6 mils, heck yes. 5.5. 505, so about a mil discrepancy, not horrible. Okay, a little low here. So again, this is what I'm talking about. So I can see in here, there's already compound polish residue here. So I imagine that Lucid polished this at the factory, but you can see that they took a lot of paint off in doing so. So that's something to consider. As a detailer, when I see stuff like this, red flag goes up in my head. I go, whoa, gotta be careful there. So that's why paint meter is so important. Let's check the door over here. 459. So this area, need to be a little cautious. Now, in above 3.5 mils or so is where I'm comfortable working on cars. When they start getting into low 3s is when the alarm goes off in my head. I go, woo, that's not a ton of paint to work with. Let's check down here on the side of the hood. 467. 460. Look at the consistency. Great. Wow. Really nice Lucid. Okay, so we got a happy detailer here so far. 421, 471. Okay, happy detailer. Now, big area that I had issues with. 460, fantastic. 423, okay, Lucid, I am a happy detailer. So far, guys, consistency, pretty good. I think it could be dialed in a little bit more, but pretty good. So we saw kind of low 4s to 6s. That's a pretty good range. In the areas where they've been polished, looks like there's a little bit less paint. 6 mils in there, fantastic. Up here, again, same area had been polished, 368. So that's what I'm saying. You guys need to consider this. These cars, I always get this question, why do new cars need to be polished? Well, because factories come in here, they leave compounding. I'm betting there are some buffing marks in here that we'll be able to safely remove. So I have to use the paint meter to be able to check that out. Let's check over here, see what this looks like. Really, really happy. Now, I was just noticing here as the car unlocks and locks and locks and unlocks, okay. Look at this ripple here in the paint. So watch that light and it move. That I didn't see on the other side. So a little concerning there. Don't think it's a dent, just looks like a little bit of a warping. Now down here on this quarter panel or fender area, 415. This was another area down here that was really low. 5 mils, fantastic. Not reading on there, this is a plastic area. Let's look here on the door, 5.5. Wow, guys, I am thrilled. So we've got enough paint to polish on, and that's important because like I said, this car is basically from Utah, even though it was delivered here. So we have enough paint to work on and detail. Let's come down here on the door. 6 mils, fantastic. Noticing a little scuffing here. I don't think that's a chip. We'll probably be able to get that off. Moving on here to the back door, 5.6, great amount of paint. 4.0, okay, a little lower. Again, I can see compound right in that area, so they've been working on this area. 4.14, this is another area on that touring, Grand Touring actually, that we had low paint. Okay, so 3.5 in here. So thinking there's been some work done here. Now, another scary area that I saw on the Lucid Air Grand Touring was this silver piece up here. And let's see, because I'm hoping this has enough paint, because I've already seen some scratches in it. So a little low, 291 in this area. So this edge over here need to be ultra conservative on polishing. Okay, so you can see consistency bouncing around there. That's concerning, and that's the same thing I saw on the other one. The other one had a lot less paint. I think it was down in the 224 area range. Let's come in here, 331, okay. 258. So this area, guys, going to have to be extremely cautious. Honestly, this is going to be a quick polish and basically like barely touch it. Just enough to get the area prepped for the coating, coat it, and then keep moving on. Let's see this area up here. So again, silver, really thin up here. Really, 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 really thin. It's so strange. I'm not sure why that is. Now the scary things with Lucid is like this whole deck lid, this is all plastic like I mentioned before. I can't read it. I can't read down here, all plastic. So basically the whole back end of the vehicle, I'm having to kind of work in the dark. So I have to be mindful of that. Same thing on bumpers, but you know, with most manufacturers, I understand consistency. So if I'm working on an Audi, I'm pretty sure that the bumpers are gonna have 4 to 6 mils to work with, brand new. Also noticing somewhat of a dent right there. And as you guys saw me take a reading here, a little low. Same area, really, really low. Okay. So not bad. I'm just going to, when I polish this car, take multiple readings on panels and check how it's going. Now let's look on this side, 303. 209, are you kidding me? Yikes. Okay, so this edge is literally like a towel wipe away from blowing through that edge. Not really, but like that is scary stuff, guys. 472, okay, so this side, way more paint. Like almost double the paint as the other side. How, Lucid, what is going on with your paint booth? Guys got to get this dialed in if you're charging $100,000+. Again, super low there. $530, great. Okay, so I've got a good idea. Now I'm gonna take more paint readings when I actually get into detailing this, but Lucid, fix your paint booth in areas. Like the roof stuff is just weird. How is this side in the 5 mil range and over here is barely above 2.5 in areas? Like, gotta get that dialed in. That silver piece that runs across the roof there, there's no freaking paint on that. I literally have to quickly, like on lowest setting, polish that. So if you guys wonder why I say, please do not have your car washed by the dealership upon delivery. So imagine if you get a kid in there, you know, I'm not trying to be rude, but making minimum wage. He's got limited amount of tools. He's got one chamois. He drops it on the ground, takes it, scratches the paint. Now we got scratches all over the paint. What happens next? Well, in order to get those scratches out, we've got to remove paint. So getting a car in the best possible condition is the way to go. Last and final here, I'm going to shut down all the lights, get my SCANGRIPs out, and look for any paint imperfections, buffing marks, sanding marks, things like that. See the current condition of the paint, and we'll wrap this one up. So we've got the lights off now, and I quickly walked around this car myself with my SCANGRIP lights and looked around it. To be honest, happy. I'm a happy detailer. Not a ton of stuff going on. Still some scratches here and there, as to be expected. Some polishing marks, some things going on, but let's jump into it. Now, I want to, before I jump into this, apologize. This is like super, super hard to show scratches on because this color is so brilliant and light. It is very complicated to show scratches on, so I'm gonna do my best, so bear with me. So notice that left light source there right above it. See that kind of marring there? So those are some good scratches. Looks like it's definitely tried to been polished before. We'll get that out, no problem. What I saw mostly was this piano black trim having a lot of scratches on it, a lot of swirl marks. You can see how much easier it is to see scratches on black, of course. That's gonna be consistent here. What concerns me a little with Lucid is they have a demand problem, I guess is the easiest way to put it. And they have a lot of cars sitting. And I think they're sitting in Arizona, which is pretty toned to water spotting in areas because they've got crazy hard water. Obviously it doesn't rain a ton there, but if your car is sitting out for a long time, you may pick up quite a bit of water spotting. Now this car was built, delivered, still picks up some water spots. That's just how it goes. Now this light here that I'm holding, a lot of body shops use this to color match. Do you guys see anything here? Definitely noticing that that charge port door, completely different color than the rest. Now that's a plastic piece, that's pretty common, but definitely wanted to make note of that there. Again, more water spots here, few scratches on the piano black. Nothing that as a detailer I'm concerned about. That's definitely what I deal with on new cars. Can definitely see some scratches on that piano black. I don't think you're gonna be able to see it on the silver. Yeah, gonna be almost next to impossible except for right there, see those scratches. Unfortunately, guys, we'll see what I can do with polishing that. But that area being so thin, I can't go too aggressive. Otherwise, we're gonna have no paint there and a really unhappy customer. Here on the door handle, right above it, let's see right there, we've got some scratches going on. That could be from the customer, the delivery. It could even be from me just quickly opening that up. So we'll get that polished out, no worries there. A little bit of scratches going on right there above the light source. Now down the doors, I am really shocked to say these look pretty darn good. Again, I'm doing my best to show you guys here. We've got a good sized scratch right here, and then up here in this area, right there, we've got some scratches. Now, I know you guys are gonna be like, well, if you need your little light here to show scratches, why are you doing this? I'm telling you, when you take these things outside and look for scratches in the sunlight, you can 100% see them. It's just hard to get on camera. Definitely shows up in person quite well. Here, let me see if I can get those, some pretty deep scratches right there. Have to be cautious there. Need to look at paint readings yet again. What I am happy to say though, that is happening here, this car does not seem to have a ton of scratches or damage on it from being washed by service centers, anything like that. I've got some more scratches back here. Definitely you need to be really cautious there. Also notice on that silver there, see those kind of wispy areas? So this area is not only thin paint, but has been rotary polished. So yeah, what the heck are we doing here, Lucid? So those scratches there, guys, are likely going to have to remain unless I can get them out with a uber light polish. Not thinking that's gonna be the case, but yeah, really, really concerning that they're still polishing those. Hopefully you guys can see that. Right there, right above the air. Yeah, not great, but let's keep moving on here. So really deep scratch here on the rear trunk lid. Shouldn't have an issue getting that out. As we move around, look at this area back here. So Lucid has polished this already. See right there on the edge, all those polishing marks, tons of scratches in this area. Really not a premium feeling piece of plastic in that area, to say the least, but not bad. Now this area on the spoiler here, noticing quite a bit of water spots. See right there in the light. This area is very much pools up water with how the design is there. Not the end of the world, but definitely something to take note of. Let's look over here. So this side on this silver piece definitely has some scratches, but hasn't been polished as much until you get up here. More wispy area, definitely some stuff going on. Now this panel back here, definitely still seeing scratches. The piano black just looks terrible on this particular car. This stuff is very soft, right? So when they're putting it in, likely they're just scratching it there. Now down the side, I looked at the whole back of the trunk, honestly did not see hardly anything, so that's good to know. Look at the scratches here though. Definitely seeing some deeper ones in there. The trim looks horrible. Overall though, from what I'm seeing guys, this is actually decent. And I know I'm showing a lot of defects, but this is decent. This area where they already polished, unfortunately, still has scratches in it. So really, really interesting. Let me get the lights on here. So I'd say overall on the paint, yeah, reasonably impressed. So what's my overall impression of the updated build quality on the Lucid Air? Well, first and foremost, moving in the right direction. I think they're making great steps, great strides to produce a higher quality product. You know, they're charging a ton of money for these cars. These compared to other EVs in the industry, they are well above. You know, this is not the $40,000, $30,000 Tesla Model 3 type vehicle. They're going for a very different client base. And yeah, really trying to get that luxurious feel. Do I feel the build quality is there yet? Interior, 1000%, worth every penny. The interior is one of the best, if not the best, in the EV industry. Super blown away. If they could take what they've done in there with material choices, precision of putting things together, minus a few little things we saw in this one, and bring that to the outside, man, this would be one heck of a car. I think a lot to do with software too. They can work on that. Didn't touch on that, but definitely stuff that we've seen here on Out of Spec. Yeah, as far as exterior fit and finish, better. Not great, but better. I think we're getting there. You know, as a detailer and a big car enthusiast, I don't expect a new car brand to come out and be up there with Porsche of millimeter precision and like the best fit and finish in the industry. I don't see him doing that. What's interesting is I compare Lucid with something like Rivian. I've had so many Rivians through the shop and I've seen them from really low VINs to current. And what it seemed to me Rivian did was very opposite of what Lucid's doing. Is they built their first like 6,000 R1Ts very well, because I think they knew, you know, videos would come out like this and looking through their build quality and they'd get a ton of orders. Well, I think the unfortunate thing with Rivian's happened, and there's plenty of videos on this channel, the later the VIN, the worse built the car. Whereas I think this is the opposite. The earlier VINs, not so great, and as they get older, they're going to get everything dialed in. Now, as far as a detailer's perspective on the paint, their paint is good so far, not great. I think there's a little bit of dialing in everything to making sure we're getting consistent paint. I'm glad to see there's more on this one, but these silver areas, how are we shooting out a car that has half the amount of paint on this side roof piece than the other side? I think that's stuff to dial in. They're also doing work on these cars, as I can see with compounding in areas. So they're taking paint off. Seems like they're getting contamination in the paint. This is something that happens with all manufacturers. Porsche does the same thing. Ferrari, Lamborghini, you name it, they all do this. So I think they're moving in the right direction. Happy to see that. I'm pretty darn impressed with the actual paint blemishes that are in this car as far as a new car. Not great, but you know, up there with typically what I see on other vehicles. So really happy to see that. Lucid, continue getting these things dialed in, and I think you're no longer going to have a demand problem. If you get your prices dialed in, get these cars really dialed in, these things are one heck of an EV. So thank you guys so much for watching these long-winded videos. Now, I know you guys like seeing stuff quickly, but we are nerd level 9000 here on the Out of Spec team. Our videos are long, so thank you for joining us on these long videos. You're gonna continue to see these style of videos. But anyways, we'll see you in the next video of Out of Spec detailing very, very soon. Bye-bye.